Hi, welcome to VCC TV. Modi government has completed a year in power. While there have been reforms in some areas, or at least talk about it, some believe that there is lots to be done. Even though India is said to be the fastest growing economy in the world, and the government is pegging growth figures somewhere around 8 to 8.5%, there are still structural constraints that need to be addressed. Today we have with us Mr. KK Mittal, Vice President of Venus Capital, to discuss more about the performance of Modi government and the road ahead for the Indian economy. Thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you.
Let's begin with the most intriguing aspect of the Indian economy, the pace of reforms. With the dissonance between the GDP numbers and the IIP data, what do you think the policy implications can be?
See, till now, the government has tried to create a platform for future growth. The Modi government, when it took over, we were suffering from a lot of policies issues, stalling of policy framework, stalling of several projects, suffering of several projects, availability of raw material like coal, iron ore. The most important factors of the economy like power, communication, retail, they were suffering from lack of policy and policy framework in place. There were taxation issues. So a lot of issues were there and which needs resolution. So the Modi government created a platform. I am not saying that all the issues are resolved, but yes, there is a beginning. There is a will to issue these, to address these issues. Now, say for example, coal allocation and coal and mining issues. It was in the limelight, and we know what happened in the past. But then when this government took over, they created the platform whereby clean, fair and auction can take place in transparent manner. In the process, the government managed to auction the mines, they increased their revenues, and similarly in the case of communication, a spectrum were auctioned. So the first thrust was to remove the hurdles in the doing of business. That was the first thrust area of the government. IIP is a leading indicator. So we know that in the past the IIP numbers were 2%, and definitely the GDP numbers are going to be lower than 8% as per the new formula.
A year ago, India was toast of the town amongst the emerging market pack.
Right.
People drew parallels to an elephant adding wings to take off. Can we attribute this optimism to how the new government was going to transform the Indian economy?
See, if we start with the performance of the earlier government, everybody is aware. And then there was hope with the new government, and a lot of optimism was created even before the election, in the speeches, in the promises, in the reforms, in the ease of doing business, taxation reforms, economic reforms, labor reforms. So that optimism has created a lot of positivity as far as India is concerned with the outside investors. And this year also, initial 3-4 months, markets were up 8-9%, but now corrected little bit. So there was a lot of optimism, and now the time has come after completing 1 year with the government that the delivery stage has come. Now the more focus would be not on promises but on delivery and addressing the whole lot of issues which are there in front of the country. So I would call it that yes, it's a beginning, and let's see and wait and watch.
Now, the failure of the government to build a political consensus in Rajya Sabha over the passing of some crucial legislations was somewhat similar to how policymaking in the US is stuck because of the bipartisan politics. Did the investors or the analysts not fairly take into account the minority that the NDA had in Rajya Sabha and how it could stall big reforms?
I would take it otherwise. It was expected that the important legislation would be stalled in the Rajya Sabha because the government lacks number, and it is difficult to build consensus amongst the political parties. But yes, this is the federal structure. We have to live with it, and I think it was already estimated and projected in the minds of the analyst people, investors, that these kind of hurdles would be there. So I think this is the initial hurdles, but going forward there would be more conducive environment which is going to improve the relation inter-se between the politics.
Moving on to the question of the performance. How would you rate the performance of Modi government over the past 1 year if I were to give you a scale of 1 to 10?
I would definitely give 8 points out of 10. For the steps, for the initiation, and for the confidence Modi government has tried to create amongst the people, investors, masses, and going forward, I feel that they will continue with their reform, social agenda, especially few schemes where I am very, very positive, like opening of bank accounts by the poor. So what I am trying to say is leakages to the tune of 30,000-40,000 crores would be saved. So this is going to be a positive step.
The global crude prices are still low compared to the level that they achieved last year, but retail fuel prices have started going up. Now, and the cushion that was there for the inflation has waned off. Now, what are the significant risks to inflation given the crude prices hardening, the El Nino effect, and the expectations of US Fed raising rates later this year?
To start with the crude prices, our own estimate is that it may go up to $75 or $80 for the time being. And otherwise it is expected to remain between 65 and 75 range. $70 would be the mean. The government budgeted calculations are based on $70. So till $70-75 we are not worried. As far as inflation is concerned, and especially CPI, I think it has come down to 4.86, and it is continuously coming down if we look into the last 5 months. And at ground level, the expectations are that it may not go up. Maybe there would be slight change, seasonal changes. But we know that there are expectations that El Nino impact would be there in the monsoon. And the previous crop has already suffered due to excessive rains and unprecedented rains. Inflation may not move faster as we have seen before 2014, double digits incremental growth in the inflation, especially CPI. So I feel that CPI would remain around 5% plus minus. In the June month also, though, there is a Fed policy, and the chances are they are going to revise the rate upward, but I still feel that in June it may not happen. Maybe it may happen somewhere in September, October. When there would be revision in the Fed, there would be some volatility as far as the currency stock market. But I feel that that volatility will remain for a shorter period of time. In the long run, again, it is going to revert towards the mean.
The recent trend in stock market has thrown two views. One, that it was a dead cat bounce, and the other, that the market has bottomed out after a healthy correction. Which view would you subscribe to?
See, I would not say that the market has corrected. Though it has already touched 8,000 level, if we say Nifty, from more than 9,000. So there is a correction of already 10%. But I feel that there is some scope of correction and volatility. We have seen previous weeks markets are volatile. This particular week, some stability is there. But this volatility will again come back into the system. I feel that till the time there is a positive scenario for earnings to improve, till such time there would be a threat to the market, because ultimately it is the market is going to follow the earnings, not the sentiments. So till now we have followed the sentiments, but now the earnings. So the expectations are that there may be some downgrade to 14-16% of earnings, and to that extent market needs to be corrected. So what I am expecting is that market may come down a little bit, say about 300-400 points from 8,000, say 7,600, 7,000. It may not happen, but we need to see how fast the earnings are catching up. So that's the very important key.
Yeah, even though growth in China is slowing down, can we ignore China as a potential competitor?
I don't think so that we should be ignoring China, because China has already created world-class manufacturing facilities, and they are capable of adjusting to the needs very, very fast. And we lack on those kind of creation of or change as per the new demand. But as far as China is concerned, we cannot ignore China, because China has the capacity. If there is a demand in some activity, they are going to be there.
Now, coming to the last question.
Okay.
Looking at the government's economic agenda over the next 1 year, which are the top 3 things that you would like to see being done?
Yeah, I would see goods and services tax should be passed in both the houses of parliament, and it should be implemented as on expectations from 1st of April 2016. The second issue is create confidence amongst the stakeholders as far as taxation issues are concerned. It's a big hurdle, and taxation issues can kill the entrepreneurship and the investment process. Because if there are uncertainties, nobody would like to do business in India or anywhere else where there are uncertainties and retrospective change in the provision of taxation. So I think the second issue needs to be this. And third issue should be to create the system of consensus. Growth should be the agenda, than anything else. And the government should be taking all the parties. There should be a conducive environment and transparency within the system. The people should be taken into confidence. Now take an example, land acquisition bill. The stakeholders need to be involved. The farmers need to be told what are the benefits and what we are changing to the earlier bill. And I think there is a lack on that kind of transparency. So we need to convey, and the conveying process should be very fast so that the people understand pros and cons and decision can be taken. So I think these kind of healthy situation is a need of the day.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
For being on the show.
Thank you.